This episode of the School of Life podcast is brought to you by Miss J's Resumes, ran and operated under the Savvy Solution, LLC. Miss J's Resumes provides quality resume and cover letter writing, review, and tips for the perfect resume start to finish. Miss J's Resumes has proven results. From college students to professionals changing careers, there's room for everyone. To schedule your free consultation or learn more about the Miss J's Resumes Resume Bundle, which includes 6 detailed templates and 2 guides to crafting the perfect resume, visit www.thesavvysolutionllc.com. That's www.thesavvysolutionllc.com.
Wow, Sina.
Another day, another dollar. I'm saving just to be broke. They said college was serious, but my degree feel like a joke. 4 years or less, I'm saying I got it done. No plan, just to end up at my mom's after I told her I wasn't staying. Well, here we are. No question, I'm a star. Just got some light years to travel, but it's just so far. But I'ma make it though. Make sure you get your focus right. You coming too? It's about to be one hell of a ride. Yeah, this adults and stuff is crazy. They ain't warn us about this. I'm supposed to live my best life on an unpaid internship. How I'm supposed to find my husband? Everybody running game. I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. Went from worrying about on flow to running from Uncle Sam. Now I understand why student accounts never gave a damn. Saving accounts be slipping, trying to work out, but I'm tripping. I forgot health insurance. Oh, I'm my mom's until I'm 26, so I gotta pay these student loans. That's adults with the score doing the most. That's adulting. Moving out of mom's house. That's adulting, but it's all gonna work out. That's adulting. I need a legal side hustle. That's adulting, cause these bills got me in trouble. That's adulting. Journey's course is never planned. That's adulting. So just leave it in God's hands, cause that's adulting.
Hey friends, welcome back to another fabulous episode of the School of Life podcast. I hope you're staying safe out there, drinking your water, minding your business, and everything in between. Look, I know the world is in pure chaos. We are literally 3 months from 2021, and I am like, Jesus, how? Where did the time go? But my hope is that you have found some sense of normalcy and peace in the madness, and that you are taking care of you, most importantly. By the way, I know that is way easier said than done because, listen, your girl has been struggling in that department myself, but it is possible. I promise it is. As hard as it is to rest and detach sometimes, I have really been intentional about doing so lately. I don't know if I told you guys on the last episode, but I got so overwhelmed and so stressed out a few weeks ago that I literally just had to turn my phone off, not talk to anybody. I did no work for a day, and y'all know I am always working, so that was a big step. But I will say, having that time to just decompress and not think about the millions of things going on really helped me and put me in a better space mentally. So I do have my own chaos going on in my world, just like I know many of you do. So I am always encouraging you to take a break, detach, turn your phones off, get off social media, whatever it is. Personally, I have had to make some life-changing decisions lately. I'm starting a new career in a few weeks. I'm running this podcast. I'm running my business. I have clients, and not to mention trying to stay sane and have faith in the midst of it all. It's literally been a whirlwind, but in all of that, I am learning how to rest. That has truly been my lesson of this season. So I am excited, as always, about today's episode because I have another amazing guest who I already know is going to drop some gems about the importance of breaking generational curses, especially for our Black men. He is an advocate for living in your truth and for really understanding who you are as a person so that you can be a better man or woman. Now, ladies, don't turn me off. Don't turn us off because he will share some gems that we need to hear as well. I already know he's going to get us together with the way we think about the man sometimes. So y'all get your notebooks ready, take out your phone, whatever you use to take notes because School of Life is in session. Johnny Lonnon Jr. is a first-generation college graduate from Saraville, New Jersey. He received his undergraduate degree from Delaware State University and recently graduated with a master's degree in sports industry management from Georgetown University. He started his career in sports with the Philadelphia 76ers and is now finishing up his 5th season in the NBA with the Washington Wizards. This summer, Johnny started his own business called Breaking the Cycle, which we will learn so much about during today's interview. The goal of Breaking the Cycle is to help high school students with their transition to college and help college kids with their transition into their future careers. He focuses on mental health, financial literacy, and personal and professional development. As a kid who grew up without a father, he realizes how blessed he was to have a supporting mother and other male role models who poured into him. He looks at Breaking the Cycle as his way to give that back to individuals who may not have that same support system. Despite the pandemic, he is looking forward to making an impact not only in his industry, but also in his community. You guys give a very warm School of Life podcast welcome to Johnny for joining us today. Hi, Johnny. Welcome.
What's going on? How are you?
I am well. I am so excited to have you on the podcast. I know we had some scheduling conflicts before, but we finally got to link, and I know you're going to bring us in.
We got it right.
We got it right. So talk to us a little bit about Breaking the Cycle and how you became, an advocate for breaking generational cycles.
Yeah, so Breaking the Cycle was something that I actually developed when I was still in college. It was a program that I developed when I was a senior in college. It was one of the programs we did for my fraternity, which is Kappa Alpha Psi. And really, it was just like a way to kind of prepare each other to get into our careers and really just try to put the best foot forward and create like a support system around us so we can kind of learn from each other and realizing that I may have people that pour into me that you don't know, and you might have the same on your side. And if we exchange information, like we can both grow and be better people. So that was how it kind of started, and then it kind of manifested into me wanting to start it as an organization after I was doing a lot of just like tours at speaking to different colleges and speaking to different sports mentor programs. While I was working for the Sixers, I was always have people coming to the stadium and just speaking to different kids on how they can kind of break into the industry. And what I seen was that people were missing like a lot of basic life skills and professional skills that they need to really get themselves in the door, or not just get in the door, but actually get the job. So I wanted to really create this organization so we could start that development early on in high school, and then kind of just master that once people are starting to get into their career.
Perfect. That sounds awesome. And that is something that is very much needed, especially in today's society. So I know that you are an advocate also for just having a healthy mindset, being the best version of yourself, really pouring into other young Black men as well. Talk to us a little bit about how you've been able to find your voice in the chaos of the world, especially when there's so much Black man slander, it seems like, going on. How have you stayed grounded and just really found Johnny's voice?
Yeah, I think it's tough because I think especially in today's world, we're also focused on social media and the opinions of others, and we allow those outside opinions to validate who we are and what we bring to the table. So I think it's also surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals and people that you can trust and know that have your best interests at heart, that can keep you grounded, can keep you humble, but also push you to be the best person that you can be. I'm definitely an advocate for not being the smartest person in your circle, for being around other individuals that maybe have some skills that you don't have yet, so you can continue to grow and you're not creating a ceiling for yourself. But also having some people that you can be transparent and vulnerable with. So like when you do have those tough times or you're struggling with something, you can have that open, honest conversation and be able to grow from it. So I think in this day and age where especially Instagram, you just kind of see everybody's highlight reel on the gram. It's easy to get caught up in that and not realizing that everybody's taking L's, behind the scenes as well. So just having a good support system while you're taking L's, I think is extremely important.
I think that's really good. I know one thing that I advocate for all the time is being authentic and being transparent. Just like you said, we're all taking L's left and right. I've taken so many in just the last month alone, but I still try to stand and put my best face forward and show like you can take a L and bounce back and still be an amazing person. Like you don't have to try to hide behind a mask. So I'm glad to know, there are other people who think that way, especially men, because most times at least I'll speak for what I have seen, men are very prideful and they hide behind their emotions and they only want to put their best face forward. I know personally I've seen you be very transparent on social media talking about your own journey and some areas where you have grown. What advice would you give to men who may be struggling to do that themselves?
I think it's tough. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that you have to be extremely comfortable with who you are and what you bring to the table, and knowing that at the end of the day, like we all have faults. We're all not, perfect people, and realizing that, despite your faults, you still have a world of things to bring to the table. And I think that when you can be truly confident in that, and you surround yourself with people that not only look at your flaws, but they look at your accomplishments and the good things that you bring to the table, it's a lot easier to be transparent. I think we often we kind of complain to God and we complain about the flaws that we have, and we wish that they would change, but God is the one that gave us the flaws in the first place. You know what I mean? So I think that just being confident in the things that you can bring to the table and the things that you are really good at and focusing on that makes it easier to talk about, I'm not that good at this, I'm not that good at that, but I do bring this to the table and I'm extremely confident with this, and I know that I can do this better than anybody else. It doesn't put those flaws and like those bad things, it doesn't put it on such a pedestal where you're worried about it anymore.
I think that's really good. Listeners, make sure y'all taking notes, because I'm already loving, just the gems about bringing your true self, especially as a young Black man. I do know I have male followers, and some of them always write me like, you always talking to the ladies. And I'm like, no, the message is applicable to anybody. So fellas, if you're out there listening, make sure that you're taking notes, because this episode is especially for y'all.
For sure.
With being the conversation about being prideful and finding your true voice and really just showing up as the authentic you in the world, I know that there is this never-ending debate about how we as Black women can support Black men in doing that. Some women feel like, well, I'm not raising a man. I'm not, grooming him. I personally say, I used to say, I'm not taking no school project home to my parents. Like, you need to come to me with at least some sense of who you are. And I'm an advocate for support, but I just feel like sometimes men just have such a big wall up when it comes to showing their true selves. What advice would you give to the women in supporting Black men in doing this? What can we do better, maybe?
So this is a loaded question. It's a loaded topic.
Yeah.
I think I want to start with, I had a conversation with one of my good friends 2 days ago, and she told me that she has a friend who has a son. Her son is 3 years old, and they were together, and they were all like playing outside or like something in the backyard, and the kid fell and the kid started crying. And the first thing that she said to the boy was, "Get up and stop crying like a girl." And it's amazing that I don't think that a lot of women realize that if you're not even allowing a 3-year-old boy to be vulnerable and to be comfortable within his own emotions and already comparing him to another woman, like that wall is even bigger for a grown man.
That's good.
So I think it starts very, very young, where like we don't really have platforms or ways to be vulnerable and have just the typical human emotions that everybody experiences with anybody. We always have to keep this wall up as if we have it all together and keep the poker face and hold it all down. You can't show no weakness. And we learn that a lot through just growing up in life. We learn that through sports. We learn that through, kind of just every day and looking at other people in our neighborhoods, because we see how other people get ridiculed when they do show emotion. So we're literally taught from a young age that like it's not okay for men to show emotion. Like when you show emotion, you're weak.
Right.
And I think that as you get older, you realize that being able to show emotion and express how you feel and actually effectively communicate that makes you a lot stronger person than the person that's holding it in and doesn't know how to hold it together. So I think in terms of like what Black women can do is just create a platform for us to be able to share our feelings, share our emotions, create a safe space for us to actually want to wear our heart on our sleeves and actually communicate and share how we feel without feeling that we're going to be judged on the back end. Because no man wants to feel that he's less than, or, you know what I'm saying, that he can't compete or that he's less of a man than you perceive him to be. But, you know what I'm saying, when we do show those emotions and, you know what I'm saying, we get called out for it, that, you know what I'm saying, we're acting like a girl or man up or you being too sensitive, then you kind of shut right back down into that shell. And then it's kind of like, what do you expect? So yeah, I think that's a thing that a lot of people need to unlearn. I think males and women need to unlearn.
I think that's really good. So I recently did an episode with my sister about childhood trauma and about where we talked about our journey and just sharing our testimony of how we had to unlearn a lot of things that affected us, that happened in our childhood, but showed up and affected us in our adulthood. And
Absolutely.
Now that you're saying that, it's making me realize there are so many other things, like a child falling down and being told that, especially a young boy, he's going to have that in his brain, because every time he falls down, he's going to remember, you know, I can't cry. My mom said I'm acting like a girl. So just taking the time to unlearn that. Have you experienced or been in a relationship where a woman has given you that space to do that?
I have.
Okay.
And I think it's probably more recently, and I think it's refreshing. And me and my one of my line brothers, we talk about it a lot, because I think we both started going to therapy probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, good. I want to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. And that was something that we kind of talked about, and I'm saying we were kind of unpacking a lot of things and a lot of feelings that we had when we came to relationships, and seeing why certain relationships were always going the exact same way. And you kind of do some self digging, and you kind of just, do some self-evaluation, and you figure out why these things are happening. And a lot of it is because I didn't have a platform where I always felt like I had to have this wall up, but then they want us to be, communicate and share our feelings when it's convenient for them. But then when it's time for us to communicate, then it's like, no, we're not allowed to. So I think having a partner where you're able to do that, it definitely is refreshing, and it kind of balances things out a lot more. That's
really good. Talk to us a little bit about therapy and your experience with it. I know my listeners know I've been to therapy, and I'm an advocate. Mental health is very important. There are just some things therapists pull out, and you're like, whoa, that was a trigger. I never knew that was a trigger, and now I understand why XYZ happened. So, and I know women are more apt to go, especially Black women. It's a movement now, which I fully support, but I don't see a whole lot of Black men yes, I'm going to therapy. Share with the fellas, how was that experience for you, and why is it so important?
So I started going because I found out that my best friend started going after him and his girl broke up.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And I was shocked, because I had never heard another man going to therapy, let alone voluntarily going. And I think that so I think that us having that conversation, it kind of opened myself up to the thought that this is actually okay. And I think that's why it's so important to have real, genuine friends in your corner where y'all can share these things, because if it wasn't for that conversation, I probably would have never went. And just realizing that there's a lot of things that we deal with, there's a lot of things that we hold on to that you need to unpack. And if you don't unpack it, it'll literally just tear away at you, and then it'll start seeping into every area of your life, where now it's affecting your job, it's affecting your relationships, your friendships, and so on and so forth. So the process of going to therapy, to be completely honest, it sucked at first. It was awful, because you just feel like there's somebody that I don't really know. I'm giving them 15% of the information that's really real, and then they're reading your entire life, and you're just yo, I ain't come here for that. You are covering stuff that I wasn't even ready for. But I do know that once you be able to hear these things out loud, and you dump all this stuff onto a therapist, and then they kind of organize it, and then they spit it back at you in a way that seems very rational and a way for you to digest it. it's definitely interesting to kind of just look back and be like, all right, that makes sense. I see why this is a trigger. I see why this makes me angry, or this makes me sad, or I see why I shut down when these certain things happen in relationships or at work. So it's very interesting. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and I see why like people. Some people are scared to go to therapy because like you truly have to hold yourself accountable for everything that you're doing. You can't, that's not the time that you can point fingers at everybody else and say, is this person's fault or is this person's reason? This is the reason why I'm this way because they did this to me. Like, no, this is all on you. Like, you actually have to do the homework and you have to do the work on yourself to make sure that you're in a better place. So it's definitely humbling. But it's definitely life-changing, and it becomes a breath of fresh air to know how to better communicate your feelings and how to deal with certain situations and not be so easily triggered by things that could be so simple, but that one thing that happened made you think about something that happened 20 years ago, and now you're responding in a way that is has nothing to do with the current situation that you're in. So like I think once I started realizing that, I was like, yeah, this is good. It still sucks. It's still humbling. It still hurts sometimes, but it's definitely necessary.
Wow, I think that is perfect. So I literally say the same thing all the time, but it's so great and so refreshing to hear, a man say that, especially because not a lot of black men, go to therapy. I think all black men need to go. I think all black people, honestly, the whole country needs therapy after what's going on. But I am just a big advocate because literally, like you said, I always say therapy makes you self-aware. It brings you to you in a way that you might not have seen. And I can say that after going to therapy, I saw a better me show up in romantic relationships and in friendships. And when you say you want to be married and start a family, like those deep-rooted things do show up. So I'm a big advocate. If you're not going to go for you, at least go for your future kids or your future spouse. So I'm super happy to know that you're like team mental health and So man, go to therapy.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
I love it. So I know we talked a little bit about just your upbringing and how you didn't have your father in your life. And I can only imagine, how that affected you as a young boy, now a young man, navigating things. I've come to notice and learn that most times when that happens, men don't know how to form, genuine loving relationships, with other men. They either didn't grow up with that like you might have, or they were made to feel like they couldn't show those emotions like we talked about a little bit earlier. How have you been able to kind of navigate showing those true emotions towards, other men and having those true, genuine friendships where you feel like, yo, this is my bro, I can confide in him. It's more than just a dab, and going out to get drinks. Like I can call him when I'm having my weak moments.
Yeah, so I think I was extremely blessed growing up because I didn't have my father in my life, but I was blessed to play sports, and that put a lot of male role models, positive role models in my life. And from playing like AAU basketball and playing football and playing on a bunch of different tribal teams and stuff, I also got really close with a lot of my friends' dads, who were like our coaches, or they used to, take us back and forth to practices or to different tournaments and stuff. So a lot of times, like in those car rides on like far tournaments, or just those 2 hours that we're spending at a game or at practice, you definitely pick up on a lot of gems and a lot of good things, where you're able to see that example of what a man looks like and what that blueprint looks like. And that was something that I'm definitely I'm appreciative for. And I think that was something that sports really provided for me, because if I didn't play sports, I probably wouldn't have that same structure or those same blueprints of what a man looks like. So I think the relationships that, like, they all came pretty genuine. I think that there was a lot of dope men, black men and white men, that poured into me to teach me a lot of things that I didn't really know about. I was talking to one of my friends earlier, and I told him, I said, I'm the first person in my family to go to college. So when it came to like that whole college application process, like I had no idea what I was doing. And it was my basketball coach, who was a white male, who stayed after practice with me to help me fill out my FAFSA and got me together with finding like application waivers and different things like that, to really help me to apply to schools. And if it wasn't for that support that I had from him, there's no I can't say that I would have went to Dell State, or I can't say that I would have went to any school. So like even just that, and it could have been something so simple to him that took all of a half hour or hour out of his time, but it was something that literally impacted like my entire life. So I definitely think that it's super important for people to not only seek out that mentorship or like those male or women role models in their communities or that's around them, but also for, the older people to, give back and reach out to the younger generation. If you see somebody that is in a similar major or somebody you went to school with, or, you do have an opportunity to go back to your old high school and go speak or anything like that, I definitely think you should, because you never know what that impact looks like. Right. I had a conversation with a guy from Dell State, and we wasn't in the same grade. He graduated a couple of years after me. He was in a different fraternity than me, and he just reached out to me like out of the blue like 2 years ago and just wanted to know like how he should get into the sports industry. And we chopped it up, and I tried to give him some gems. We was probably on the phone for like an hour. And I was just like, yeah, like I hope, this helps. And he literally gave me a call. We set up a call yesterday. And he was like, yo, like I'm working in the industry now. I'm doing this and doing that. I really, held on to those gems you dropped on me in that conversation. Like it really meant a lot. And like, that's what it's all about. It's being able to kind of pour back. And sometimes you think that this is just very simple. Like I'm just telling you a couple of things. For them, it can mean the world. So it feels really good to know that, you're able to pour back into certain people, and their lives are better because of you just spending that time with them.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's really good. One thing that I want to pull out of what you said is just being willing to reach back and pour into someone else. I think a lot of times people who had people like us who had others pour into us at such a young age, we are more open to, going back and reaching out and letting people younger than us know, hey, someone gave me this knowledge and these gems and this help. I'm going to give it to you. And that really creates like that circle of life and encouragement and just keeping people motivated to, be their best selves, For any man who may say, okay, Johnny, I hear you, but I ain't play no sports. I don't really have that. I don't even know where to start. What advice would you give them on their journey to wanting to love other men and show those emotions?
I think it starts with using your resources. And I think it could start, like whether you're in high school or you're in college, it could start with just reaching out to teachers, certain people in your community that you respect. I think one of the things that we have that's a beautiful thing right now is technology. Like we have everybody at our fingertips. So it's like so you can DM somebody, you can email somebody, you can Facebook message somebody, you can find their number and text them. There's so many different ways of reaching out to people that if you use these forms of communication, like you can really get in touch with people. And I think that like people genuinely want to help people. People genuinely want to be able to give back and try to help. And I think that if you approach it where like very genuinely, where you're like, yeah, I'm just looking for some guidance or some structure. Or I don't know anything about this, and you seem like you got it together. So I'm just looking for some help for you to point me in the right direction. And I think that if somebody was humble enough to be able to come at me out of the blue and do that, like I'm not going to turn them down.
Right.
And I don't think that could be it. So I think that a lot of it is like reaching out to teachers or professors or, kind of just networking with the people that's around you and learning more about them. And I think a lot of times people only talk to people that they think can directly help them instead of just striking up genuine relationships and having good conversations with the people around them. You realize that a lot of people have a lot more gems than you think. So definitely just utilizing the people that's around you. Like when I was at Dell State, like I knew all the faculty. I would talk to everybody from the people that was in the admin office to the people that was in housing to the people that worked in OSLA office, and like I knew everybody, males or females. So like I had like a really big network where I was able to like have people pour into me, but I could also ask questions and be vulnerable and transparent, and they kind of helped me along the way too. And those are still relationships that I have till today. So you just gotta reach out to the people that's around you.
I think that's good. Y'all better take that note. Reach out to the people that's around you. Find your network. Literally, social media makes it so easy. You can shoot your shot at a CEO. You can shoot your shot at whoever you need to get, the advice or the resources that you need. So I'm super glad.
it's a lot of people that's out here shooting a shot at the man or the woman that they think is cute. So if you can do that, you can shoot your shot and slide in somebody DM some personal professional development. That should be easy.
I like that. Y'all shooting the wrong shot. That's what it is. All the busters shooting their shot in my DM. Go somewhere else. You shooting the wrong basket. That's good. I love that. So I know we talked a bit about your new business. Congratulations, by the way. I know being a business owner is not easy. It is not for the faint of heart at all.
Yeah.
It is not. So talk to us about why is it so important to you for not just men, but men and women to take the responsibility in breaking generational curses, and not even just breaking them, but acknowledging them?
Yeah, so I think that it's very easy for some of us to become a product of our environment. And for some people, that might be like a very positive thing, where you came from a family where everybody goes to college, everybody is super successful, making a certain type of salary per year or working in this type of industry. And that can be all good, but everybody's circumstance is different. Right. So you might live in an environment where nobody's going to college. Yep. Nobody's really being positive, and you don't really have a real good blueprint of what a male or a woman looks like, and how to raise a family, or how to be a husband, or even a boyfriend. So I think it's super important to realize that once you have an opportunity to do better, that's only going to affect like the next generation that comes on after you. And say my goal is to really just impact the younger generation, so they can learn a lot of the lessons that I learned along the way, and you can learn those a lot early on, so you don't have to make the same mistakes. Right. And I think that it's a really good way with not only taking those gems for yourself, but being able to pass it to the people around you and your circle around you, so you can make everybody better. So really the goal is to just make sure that people are well-rounded individuals, and you're helping your personal and professional development. You're being financially responsible, with your finances from an early age. So then when you do start making a lot more money, you know what to do with it. Right. You're being in touch with your mental health and your spirituality. You're making sure that you're taking care of your body as far as your physical fitness. But making sure that like all these elements, like they just make you like the whole individual. So like that's really my goal. We're just making sure that we'll make sure we're controlling what we can control. And I think that a lot of times we get so caught up in the outside factors of, bad things happening like COVID, where people just losing their job and it's kind of like a freak accident, different things like that. Things like that we have no control over. Right. But as far as like who I am as a person to the core, like my character, my morals, and what I bring to the table, like I have all control over that. So I think those are the things that you really want to focus on. And that's the goal of trying to pour that into our next generation.
I love that. I know you mentioned mental health being, very important to you, and you've been to therapy and you're an advocate. What mental health challenges have you worked to overcome to be a better man? I think sometimes, and not calling the men out, y'all know I love y'all out there, men, but sometimes men don't really realize that when they have poor mental health, it literally pours out onto other people and affects the types of relationships that they have. They're looking for a good girl, but good girls who are self-aware ain't trying to deal with you and your baggage because you got some issues. So what are some challenges that you have overcome to just be that better man that other men can also overcome?
Yeah, I would say that I'm an extremely prideful person.
Really? So you're a regular man, just prideful.
Yeah, I had to check that.
Okay.
I also seen that there was a lot of times that I didn't take accountability for things that was perfectly in my control. So I would point the finger at other people and say that it just happened because of you, and you did this and you did that, instead of seeing like my actions that actually caused it. I've seen that I was getting in different relationships, but I was getting the same result. So I was almost dating the same person with a different name. You know what I mean? So seeing that, like, what in me is causing these failed relationships, or what in me is causing certain people to know that Johnny's got a short temper with people, where he lacks patience. What is in me where like I am starting to feel like anxiety from things that's going on around me because I feel overwhelmed. So I think like when I moved to Maryland, I just felt like I was extremely overwhelmed with school, with relationships, with being away from home. My mom was having some health issues back in Jersey, so having to go back and forth. Work just being kind of crazy and hectic. So when I had all these things, I kind of reached a breaking point. I felt like I was going to break. And that's when I had that conversation with my friend, and I decided to go to therapy. So therapy really helped me to kind of just be accountable for my actions and what I brought to the table. And then once I was able to see those things and hear it from somebody else, then I started checking myself if I felt myself in random conversations or at work and getting a little bit too antsy, or my anxiety's flaring up a little bit, or I know that my patience is getting real thin. Then I'm like able to like, all right, take a step back, calm wilding right now, you know what I'm saying, and then be able to kind of reset. So I think that's been extremely huge for me. My communication has been a lot better. I'm saying in multiple ways at work and in relationships because of that. So it's really, I think I did it because of the fact that I just felt that I was extremely overwhelmed and I was getting to a point that like I couldn't lean on my own understandings anymore, and I needed to hear from a different perspective. And then I'm grateful that I did, because if I would have kept doing that, it definitely wouldn't have ended well with just, you know, saying different situations in my life, and then realizing that when you're able to check those things early on, you make sure you don't pass those on to your children. Because I think a lot of people, they pass down trauma.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Trauma can be, you know what I'm saying, generationally passed down too, and you got people holding burdens that they never even experienced or signed up for. So I just don't want to be in a position where I'm putting that on my future kids, or that's a burden I'm putting on my future wife, because of my inability to check my own self. So yeah, it's just about being accountable.
I think that's really good. Wow. First of all, thank you for just being transparent and open and sharing, you know, some areas of challenges that you had. I really appreciate that. And I hope that the listeners know, like, you know, we do things like this and we have conversations to help other people and to show, like, one, you're not alone. And two, if you are feeling alone, look, there are so many other people who are in this fight with you. What I love, or one thing that came to mind when you were talking, is that we can't pour from an empty vessel. So, like, you created Breaking the Cycle. I couldn't imagine you trying to run that organization to pour into others when you were, you know, a little bit broken and had some challenges yourself. Not saying that you're now perfect, but you're now self-aware and you're more aware of those challenges. I am just a big advocate for, you know, filling up your own cup before you try to pour into others. So kudos to you. I'm super proud of you, and congratulations for just, you know, being a man that stands on, look, I want to be the best man that I can be, because not a lot of men are doing that. And us women, we want them to, so we can find us a good quality man, and of course for themselves. So I know some listeners may be wanting to know how they can support your organization, where they can find more information, where they can find you on social media. Tell us all of those details.
Yeah, for sure. So you can follow me at my personal handle, which is at J Lonin. It's my first initial last name, JLONON. And then my business page is breaking.the cycle. That's all spelled correctly. No scores or anything like that. Just at breaking.the cycle. So I usually post a lot of content on personal and my business page. Right now, I'm doing a lot of content. We're just doing different kind of like Instagram Live, my high school and college tour in the fall. So I'll be doing some things virtually with some different students that I'm really excited about. And then I've been doing some different Instagram Lives with just showing love to the Black woman and to the Black man, and making sure that we're all well-rounded and talking about some different topics like mental health and personal and professional development, and definitely being Black in corporate workspaces. So that's been kind of some topics that I've been kind of discussing at this point right now. And then I'm also doing a Breaking the Cycle Run Challenge. And that's kind of like one of our physical initiatives. We're just making sure that we're taking care of our physical health. So we're doing, last month we did a 70-mile challenge.
Ooh,
for the
I
month.
saw that. I couldn't join though.
Yeah. It's so the thing is, people were so intimidated by the 70 miles, but really it's just you have the opportunity where you can walk it or you can run it. And it's just an opportunity where you put yourself on a leaderboard and you kind of just hold yourself accountable.
But I don't want to be at the bottom.
So if you don't want to be at the bottom, then you got to do what you got to do to be in the middle tier or at the top. And the good thing is, last month I had 70 people that was involved in. This month I have about 88 people that's involved in it.
Okay.
And the good thing is that there was a lot of people I had to talk to them crazy, like look, this joint it's not gonna be that bad. You don't have to do the 70. You can walk it.
That's me.
But it was people that they did 5 more miles than they would have did otherwise. They did 10 more miles than they would have did otherwise. Or you seen somebody I get texts all day where they might be 9th on the leaderboard, and then they wake up the next morning and now they're 11th, and they like, who does Joe think he is passing me? Now I got to get out and do 4 more miles today. So it becomes competitive, and like through that competition, like you're putting in more miles and you're increasing your physical health. So it's all in good fun. I try to make it competitive, but also make it fun where it's not something that you feel like you're going to be scolded because you were in 10th, 15th, 20th place or whatever the case may be. So the goal is just to get people to be active, to get people moving. I think a lot of people, including me, I had gained some quarantine weight. So it's just a way where, you know what I'm saying, where we can try to shake that off with, you know what I'm saying, some gyms being closed and everything. And for me, like I spend my money probably on 3 things that I probably shouldn't. I spend it on food, I spend it on sneakers, and I spend it on suits. And I'll be damn, I got to buy a whole bunch of new suits when outside open back up because I wasn't taking care of my physical fitness, and now I'm too fat to fit in my jacket. So I'm going to do what I got to do to cut these pounds and be able to, you know what I'm saying, look how I want to look and, you know what I'm saying, as I can. So, I'm super excited with a lot of things that I got working. Like you said before, having your own business is not for the weak. I'm definitely learning as I'm going and trying to be humble enough to ask for help when I need it. Humble enough to know when you got to kind of step back and, you know, so I got to focus on some other things, or this is getting overwhelming. I'm gonna take a few days off and then come back to it with a clear mind. So it's a learning process, and it's not gonna happen overnight, but I'm definitely excited that I was able to start that this summer though.
That is so awesome. You have so many amazing things going. I cannot promise that I will join the 70 mile because, listen, your girl be struggling. My listeners know I started going to the gym before COVID, and I think 1 week I went like 5 days, and I was on it. I was like, yes, summer body loading. Because just like you, I dress professional for work, and I was always in meetings at events, and so I want to, look nice, and I want my dresses to fit and stuff. And so when quarantine happened, I was like, wait, workout at home, that's not happening. So maybe I will try to join. But listeners, if you know you want to join, I'll be sure to tag Johnny's information in the show notes. So you may get some random people joining who heard you on the podcast. And power to them. Power to them. So before we get out of here, go ahead. Were you saying something?
No, I was just saying, let's do it. Like, if they want to add their friends or a friend of a friend, you know what I'm saying, add them in. Let's get it. I encourage everybody to join.
Perfect. Y'all just send me pictures. No, I'm just kidding. I may push my... I'm going to pray on it. I'm going to pray about that one. So before we get out of here, is there anything else you want to share just about generational curses, about breaking those cycles, about being a better man? Any last gem you want to drop on the people? Also, before we give them homework, they know I give them homework, but that'll be coming up in a few minutes.
I think the one thing I just want to say is that you're forever going to be your biggest fan. Nobody's going to root for you more than you're going to root for yourself. So sometimes I think we expect other people to support us or to be able to pour into us, and realistically that doesn't always happen. So sometimes you have to be your biggest advocate for getting the success that you're seeking out. So continue to grind, continue to not make excuses for yourself, continue to push your limits, continue to be just resilient in whatever circumstances that you're in, and not let those other outside factors of people talking down on you or look at what everybody else is doing and get discouraged. Like, just know that you have the ability to do it. So I think this has been like an amazing time where a lot of people have been kind of self-reflecting and starting businesses and being entrepreneurs and really finding their creativity within quarantine. So maybe that is you I'm saying, kind of just doing more at work, or maybe that is starting your own business, or maybe that is starting a blog that you've been trying to write for, saying, years and years and never had the courage to do it. But just know that don't always expect everybody to have their hand out and want to help. Sometimes you got to help yourself first, saying, take the help as it comes. So I just hope that everybody, saying, has a chance to be out here and be successful and be their best selves. And and make sure that you're, saying, just know that other people are watching too. So other people are definitely going to show love.
Yeah, absolutely true. I love that. So listeners, this has been a great conversation with Johnny. I appreciate you taking your time to chat with me about a number of different things. Before we get out of here, my listeners know I don't escape any episode. I don't let them escape any episode without assigning some homework, because it would not be the School of Life if we didn't have homework and we weren't working to better ourselves. So because you are my guest, I always extend that honor to my guests. What would you like to assign as homework for the listeners today?
So I would say my homework for the listeners would be, if you are working in the industry of your choice, if you are somebody who, whether you're entry level or you're a senior level executive or whatever, if you have, made it to a point that you think that others are aspiring to be at, I would challenge you to be able to pour back to some people that are trying to get where you're at. So that could be just connecting with people from your high school. That could be connecting with people from college. That could be, just maybe looking on LinkedIn and looking at some of like your requests, and people are requesting you or trying to talk to you because they're trying to jump into your organization, or they want to jump into your industry and they want 5 minutes of your time. And I would just challenge y'all to really pour back into somebody that is trying to get their start. You just never know where that 5, 10, 15-minute conversation or quick meetup can go. So I would just challenge y'all to really try to just pour into somebody, saying this week or next week. Just try to put yourself in a position where you're helping somebody else that was once in the same position that you were in, hoping for an opportunity or hoping for a support system. So just kind of extend that hand out and try to help people along the way.
Awesome. I love it. And friends, y'all know I will have that written in the show notes for you so that you can refer back to it. Actually, if you're listening right now, you can swipe up on your phone to see the show notes so you can screenshot it and go out into this world and do some good. Do some good. Pour into others. I think that is very good homework, especially in times like these when people are coming together and showing like we can stand united. If I have a resource that you need, I don't mind sharing. So thank you so much for that very simple but very impactful and meaningful homework. So before we get out of here for real, I know I've said that like 2 times. I want to thank you again for joining me. I always love having guests because it's normally just me running my soup coolers to the people, and I do pretty good. But I love bringing people.
Not the soup coolers,
the soup coolers. That's the Alabama in me. It just will not leave. But I love having guests on who bring a different perspective and who can talk to things that I may not necessarily, have the experience in, especially, being a Black man in today's world. So I appreciate you. I think the people have learned a lot, gained some gems. They know they better be taking notes. Normally they'll tag me on Instagram, so I'll be sure to send you some love that they send me. But I just always think it's great to connect with people, collaborate. I'm super appreciative that people have been so selfless to join me in the School of Life podcast. It's my baby, and I'm just happy to share it with others. So thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on and sharing your platform. This is definitely amazing, and I know that you dropping gems on a regular, so hopefully I was able to add something to your arsenal.
Of course. All right, friends, that wraps up another amazing episode of the School of Life podcast. Listen, ladies, I told y'all it was not just for the fellas. And fellas, we did not read your life for filth, even though we want you to go get some therapy, okay? As always, you guys know, so follow me on Instagram @_Miss J. Also follow the podcast at School of Life Pod. I am praying for you. I am rooting for you. Whatever you may be dealing with this week, just know it is done. Give it to God and get some rest. Y'all know the motto. Keep praying, keep evolving, and keep grinding. Talk soon.
Student loans. That's adults with the score doing the most. That's adulting. Moving out of mom's house. That's adulting. But it's all gonna work out. That's adulting. I need a legal side hustle.